All right, this is long overdue, Mr. Eisner. Dor, welcome to the Channel CEO podcast. How are you?
Good, good. Hi, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no. So we've been trying to get this one off the ground. I think we've been trying to connect at all these events, but I think it's one of the challenges that you guys are moving so fast. It's hard to get a hold of you. So I
Yeah,
guess it's a good problem to have, huh?
definitely a good problem to have. Trying to keep up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I remember, gosh, what now, 2+ years ago, as you're really kind of building out the model and the concept. I remember us having a couple of conversations and, really early days, but the model and the platform that you guys aspired to at that point and where you are now is incredible. So we'll get into the Guardz journey, but as always, I like to take a step back down memory lane, right, and figure out what the heck what the heck got you into this whole technology gig to begin with, and so let's take it back. What's the origin story? What were the early days of Door and how did you get into the kind of this technology mindset?
Yeah. No, like about 20, 22 years ago, I started my journey in the cybersecurity space. And the very early days in the Israel intelligence force, like Special Forces 8200 unit, it's like a special unit that dealing with intelligence and stuff like that. And it was way before cybersecurity became a thing. Like no one talked back in the days. We called it information security. We tried to encrypt things. We tried to de-encrypt things. But I spent 5 years in the army and then hands-on doing like securing networks, and then I worked for a few years in the government, and in the last decade or so, I moved to the startup world,
Yeah.
and doing it for a decade now. Long story short, the last company that we've built was about threat intelligence, dark web monitoring, pretty much like dark web ID, but in a different world, like for enterprises. And we scraped the dark web at scale, and we monitored and we sold the information to big enterprises. And we sold this business to Rapid7 about 3.5 years ago. So now it's the threat intelligence of Rapid7. But the one thing that I learned during this time with Rapid7, during this time with threat intelligence, that the dark web is getting crazy with attack as a service tools. And when I started to think, like about attack as a service, like 4 or 5 years ago, it was the very early days, like few dozens of forums offered attack as a service, like phishing toolkits and
Sure.
ransomware tools and stuff like that. But now, if you go to the black markets, you can find thousands of forums offering attack as a service tools, and this is going to change, and it's already changing in the last 2 or 3 years. How cybersecurity is weaponized against small businesses, but it's going to change the next decade or so. How businesses are going to address this challenge. So this is where I started, and this is what enlightening about this industry, that it's evolving so fast. So you need to be on top of your game in order to be relevant. So
Yeah. So, I think there are obvious reasons why the tech and particularly the security market in Tel Aviv and Haifa, other parts of Israel are booming, but in Tel Aviv, it's especially, it seems like there is just there's an amazing pipeline of not just think about it, just technology and startups, but just kind of the entrepreneurial mindset. Seems like there's a really thriving ecosystem in Tel Aviv specifically. It seems like just there's a ton of just really interesting, innovative solutions coming out of the area. So I guess, I mean, how would you describe kind of the tech scene in that region?
yeah, it's pretty crazy, the tech scene in general, and obviously in cybersecurity in particular. Like maybe more than 50% of the cybersecurity that produced and being delivered to the world is made in Israel. So and the reason is very clear. It's very straightforward. It's about the army. It's
Mhm.
about like the technology and the stuff. Like in the US, when you are getting to the age of 18, you go to college.
Mhm.
Most people go to college and start their journey. In Israel, in the age of 18, you need to serve mandatory for 3 years, and that's like giving you more where you can get the best technology in your hands in the age of 18.
Yeah.
And this mindset of being on top of the best technology so young is driving people like to do so. And also in general the environment, it's about there is a lot of talent coming from this side of the business, so therefore it's also fueling the tech companies that we can build here, and also a lot of capital is driving in this
Yeah.
area of the world. So
Yeah, when you're transitioning out after you do your mandatory time, or even if you extend, do they have, entrepreneurial transition programs, or is it you've just been exposed to so many cool stuff and you see others that have gotten out and created some really cool companies? Is it kind of just contagious, or is it
yeah,
more
I
structured
think
than that?
I think it's a combination, but I think it's a flywheel that like the early companies that started like Checkpoint and Palo Alto and those guys, they are creating a lot of entrepreneurial environment for other guys to start their companies, and it's
Yeah. So you had this interesting exit to Rapid7 a couple of years ago.
yeah.
And then it didn't seem like you took a lot of time off, right?
No.
It seems like you went right back at it. You had kind of planted the early seeds of Guards. And again, it's been fun just to actually watch you guys. But what were some of the interesting, takeaways from, maybe the last, you mentioned last decade, right? Because I imagine in military service, right, it's very structured, it's very organized, and then you come out into the kind of the commercial markets, and it's a hell of a lot less structured. It's more kind of the wild west, if you will. But so what was kind of that journey like for you as you transitioned out, as you're kind of working in kind of the tech world? I mean, what did you want to be, and then what you know after the exit? I'm asking a lot here, but what did you want to be, and then after the exit, how did you land on, hey, I want to start my own thing?
After a few months, with the Rapid7 during the transition, I realized that corporate life is just not for me. And, it was very difficult, to say, okay, let's do that. And it's not moving and it's not moving. And, like another week and another month. And, so I'm in a mindset, that I need to wake up in the morning and to do something exciting. And if I'm doing something exciting, it's fueling me, and I want to do good for the world. So it's a combination of, like doing something that is exciting every day and something that can, do better for the world. And I think that we are just in this amazing spot of supporting, obviously, MSPs to secure
Mhm.
small businesses, because we believe that this is a huge challenge now and in the years to come. And it's also amazing to build a business around this market at this time. So it's about, for me, in order to be excited about what we do, it's about what is the market, like timing, and obviously the challenge, but it's also about the team and what kind of technology we can offer. And we believe that this market is still very early in terms of the
Mhm.
technology that being delivered today.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you've timed the market. Couldn't have timed it any better, right? Just in the, I always, often talk about this maturity model, maturity curve, and the way you guys have come into the market, kind of this platform concept is really fascinating. So when you launched, what was the early, what were you trying to solve early on? Say, hey, I got this spark, I got this idea, I got this cool brand in mind. What was the first kind of iteration of Guards?
Yeah, it was early 2023 when we started first in the market, and like what we learned very early, that the problem of highly fragmented point solutions in the MSP market, it's the good and the bad, but it's creating the challenge.
Yeah.
Like and it's still happening in most cases. Like MSPs are just getting onboarding more tools, more point solutions. It's like throwing, and with today cybersecurity landscape, and with the threats kind of thing, it's just throwing spaghetti on the wall. And like the enterprise market solved this challenge, like 5-10 years ago, with implementing like SIEM and SOAR and security engineers and automations and getting more budget, but we don't believe that this is the right way for the small MSP, small SMB market.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So you guys have invested significantly, particularly in the North American market. We'll get to that, but you're entering the marketplace. Again, from a timing perspective, you couldn't time it any better, right? Because I think the buzzword, if anything, the second half of 24, and it certainly will be in 25, is platform, right? It's kind of this platform because if you go back to, so we just put out a big industry report about a month and a half ago, kind of the 2024 technology map. We'll do the same thing with the cyber map coming up. But when we look at the thousands of users that we have in the platform, we look at the fact that the vendor sprawl is real. I mean, the technology, the toolkit, the vendor sprawl is overwhelming. And I think in particular in cybersecurity, I think our platform represents roughly 47 different product categories just in cyber alone. I mean, it's overwhelming, right? So you guys have kind of transitioned or started with this kind of platform mindset in you're just out in the forefront. And so take me through kind of, again, as you're launching and maybe, hasn't been very long, but you've made some pivots and added in some capabilities. And so talk through the kind of this platform and where you guys are going with it.
Yeah, when we launched the platform, like we analyzed the market and we saw, okay, like most of the players are offering some kind of MDR based on the EDR, like based on the traditional EDR. So most of the majority of the players that are playing in this cybersecurity offering for MSPs are about the EDR. And we decided to go in a different direction and start with the cloud. So we've built a cloud native detection and response capabilities. And then we started to add more and more functionalities like the external exposure and the emails and the devices and the awareness and like everything in between. And when you start with the cloud, it's all about the identities. And then, when you start to build around the identities, everything is getting much better for the threats of today and the threats of tomorrow, because it's all about, your identity, your data, and everything in between. It's the devices are important part, obviously, for the visibility and the detection response, but they are just a small piece of a big puzzle. And I think this is what makes Guardz unique in this market, that we are cloud native by design. And obviously, when you look at the MDR on the like on the detection response market in general, traditionally it's all started with human analysts, and humans are obviously important part of the game in cybersecurity. But we are building the company in the most exciting time of technology and AI. Like if you talk me when we started to talk like 2 years ago, maybe you and me, AI was very early in his days of democratization. But like this time is crazy to build cybersecurity around the AI capabilities that are out there. That like 5-10 years ago it was there, but it was very complex to build on top of that, because all the LLMs and all the open source stuff was a bit closed, and now everything is ready to go. And we believe that that the future of detection and response is about AI. It's about how fast you can detect, like mean time to detect, mean time to response. This is like the key to reduce the risk or to mitigate the risk. And yeah, we are fortunate to build this company at this time. So it's not just about the timing of the market in terms of the demand for cybersecurity coming from the small MSP, small businesses. It's also about how fast you can build automated detection response, like real stuff with AI, and not just buzzwords.
And it's funny, if you go back and back to the early days where Mandy and you get Kevin Mandy, I'm like blanking I'm like having a senior moment, blanking the name of the company, but they used to have that map, right, where you could see in theory the origin of an attack, and then you'd see it traversing back and forth. It was kind of wow factor back in maybe 2013, 14, 15, but it almost, it's funny because you almost look at AI as it's just accelerating. I mean, those, I don't even know how you compare it, right? Maybe it's, that's not a good comparison, but anyway, my point is though, that the threats, right? The incoming threats are instantaneous with AI, right? I mean, obviously they're fast, it's been evolving, but AI to me sounds like there's a new paradigm where you really have to be on your toes. You have to be guarded at all times, and almost going to get into this place where you're anticipating the next threats because they're evolving so fast. Does that cause a challenge? Or how do you guys approach kind of dealing with that accelerated threat vector now?
Yeah, if the bad guys are leveraging AI, the good guys should build it, by design as a native capabilities. And like if we talked about specifically about the power of AI in with the defenders, so it's just nuts. Like the things that you can do today with automated enrichment and stuff. Like you don't need dozens of eyes on the screen. Like you don't need it.
Yeah.
It's like it's something that like the traditional MDR players are still operating, and still because they are invested so much in this like security operation centers and human resource and stuff, and technology is just getting better. And AI is just getting better in terms of detection response. So yeah, we are doing our best, to implement and to train our AI models the best we can. It's obviously it takes time and it's a lot of data, and it's still, you need to have humans in the loop, and still we have humans in the loop. But we believe that in the next 2 to 3 years, we are going to cut the tier 1 SOC analyst and the tier 1 technicians from cybersecurity and save more time in doing other stuff.
Wow. I mean, you can see this is where that market's going for sure, right? And to your point, right? Leveraging these LLMs and these tools is going to make that possible. So you're going back to that buzzword, platforms. You guys have evolved quick. You have a very robust, front end, back end. You're doing a lot, investing a lot now, in particularly in MSP space and enablement and getting up and running. And so, how do you look at the kind of the landscape, the competitive? Who do you compare yourself to? How would you compare yourself with kind of some of the traditional players out there, and maybe some of the more new age solutions that are out there? Like what do you when you're going to a prospective MSP, prospective partner, what are you displacing when you're working with them?
So we are displacing few different point solutions. Like we can displace like the traditional security awareness training, and the traditional email gateway, and the traditional simulations, and and then we are adding a lot of other stuff like external exposure, and analyze the digital footprint, and obviously identities in the cloud, like the M365 and the Google Workspace monitoring, and like activation stuff. And it's also about obviously it's about the endpoint. So we are replacing a lot of the traditional web root and like other traditional antiviruses. And SentinelOne invested in Guardz like about a year ago. And we are building this partnership with SentinelOne, and exciting news to come in the next few weeks. And we are going to stay independent for the long run, but we are trying to build the best of breed into the platform as much as possible where we can, where it makes sense. Like at the end of the day, it's not about just replacing the point solutions. It's about building an efficient cybersecurity that can be delivered in an automated fashion. And that's the secret sauce. That's how complex is to manage and monitor and being on top of multiple point solutions. And we started with a platform not because we said platform is the way to go, because we said that unified detection and response is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So like platform, it's a nice buzzword. It's like the buzzword of 2025, I think. But for me and for Guardz, it's about unified detection response. It's about connecting the dots across multiple security controls and multiple detections into one incident with automated remediation. And that's, I think, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So what surprised you about this marketplace? Again, you guys are moving fast and creating quite a buzz, but anything surprise you about this market? From a MSP standpoint, maybe there a readiness to adopt or anything in particular?
I am actually positively surprised by the fast that MSPs are moving towards better technology, understanding, the cybersecurity landscape. And in general, like when we started like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, it was, a bit, like, hey, you are a new vendor, like, hey, I don't know you. But now when people start to understand, what is Guardz and what we are delivering to the market, it's much easier, and it's also about the word of mouth, in the end of the day. So we believe that, we are in a good position right now. And for us, it's just about giving for the community, like where we can. So just, like few months ago, we launched a community package, like free of charge for the MSP. You can get on board, you can start to sell Guardz, you can use your Guardz free for your MSP, just to make the MSP more secured and to try to do things better, and providing like sales tools and, like operational stuff for them to show the value.
Yeah.
So
Well, I would definitely put you on the short list of ones to watch in 2025 for sure. Sounds like you're teasing us a little bit with a pending announcement, but we'll have to be patient and see that one come through. So, looking forward, right? I mean, so again, not knowing what the forthcoming announcement is, but how do you see this evolving, right? It's obviously we talked about AI, we talked about unified, and kind of unifying the desk, but how do you see this market evolving? How do you see threats evolving? What's kind of the big picture, that makes you excited about, maybe a little nervous about the market, but excited about being in this market for the next couple of years?
yeah, I'm excited to be in this market because as we are leveraging AI for, to protect businesses, the bad guys are leveraging AI to build new attack as a service tools in higher velocity, higher scale, whatever.
Yeah,
So this is what exciting me, to wake up every morning and to work with our engineering team, to tackle those problems and, to be on top of those tools and to know what's going to come or what is cooking right now. And it's also about, the trajectory of SMB in general, like SMBs, it's an underserved market, and the MSPs that are supporting this market is like, we need to empower them. We need to make sure that they are on top of their game. Otherwise, we are just going to get very bad, results in the next 5 years. If small businesses won't get their business secured, it's going to impact the economy. That's what we believe. And that's why we are so passionate about this mission.
that's awesome. Well, Dora, look, I really appreciate you jumping on. We'll have links to guards in the show notes. But what's the best way to reach out to you guys?
Just go to guards.com and search it on Google. Like we are offering, community package for free. It's a no sales motion. So, like you can start your free trial, you can onboard to the platform self-serve, you can deploy the platform in a click of a button, and you can just get everything from the platform without talking to us. And obviously we are here for you in terms of support, onboarding, CS, and everything in between.
Awesome. And I have to point out that is guards with a Z, right?
Yes.
That's
Correct.
right. Cool. Well, Dora, again, thanks for hopping on, and we'll be watching all your success in 2025, and looking forward to big things from you guys.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Thanks.